Shemai guys, welcome back. Every single year I hear about thousands of people getting out of debt, and undoubtedly there are thousands more people across the UK getting out of debt. If you find yourself in debt, you could be one of those people getting out of debt this year. My name's Dav Morse. I'm here to educate and inspire, encourage and equip you to make the most of your money, to live generous lives impacting the world and those around you. In today's video, we're going to look at how to get out of debt. And if you want to know why I've heard about so many people, so many thousands of people getting out of debt, stay tuned to the end and I'll tell you something that's very close to my heart. But first of all, let's get a cup of tea. Okay, so how do we do it? How do we get out of debt? Well, there's a couple of things that we need to talk about before starting to talk about debt snowballs and debt avalanches and different interest rates and all that kind of thing. First of all, getting out of debt is not easy. But nothing good came from being easy. Think of Frodo. Think of Harry Potter. Think of Luke Skywalker. They all had journeys that they needed to go on, and they would not be the people they were at the end of the stories if they hadn't gone on this journey. And this journey of getting out of debt is a hard journey, but it's so worth it. It means that you are no longer a slave to somebody else. It means that your money now is your own to decide where you're going to distribute it, who are you going to be generous to, how are you going to bless some other people, what are you going to save for. It doesn't have to automatically go to somebody else. It's not easy, but it's worth it. The second thing that we need to do before we even get started is to acknowledge and accept the situation that we're in. We need to be real. We need to say, yes, this is it, but this is not the end. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of my debt-free story. And we need to start there, because if we don't start there, we don't acknowledge the debt, then we're never going to get out. The next thing is to realize that there's actually no judgment. You're not alone. People aren't going to judge you for having debt. There are thousands of people, millions of people across the UK who have debt right now. So there's no judgment, there's no shame. But you know you want to be free from the chains of debt. There is help available. If you've tried and you failed before and you're trying again and you're worried you're going to fail, there is help available. We'll talk about that later in the video. The other thing we need to do before getting started is to realize how we got ourselves into debt in the first place. How is it we ended up in this situation where we're owing hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of pounds? What behaviours got us there? What purchases have we made that have caused us to be in debt? What things have we not addressed in our lives? Do we buy stuff when we're bored? Do we buy stuff when we're hungry? Do we buy stuff when we're sad? When we're happy, when we're emotional, when we need a little pick-me-up? What is it? And that's going to be different for everybody. That's going to involve you looking inside and thinking, why did I spend that money? What void inside me was I trying to fill? And we need to address the behaviour before we address the problem. At least recognising the triggers that cause you to buy things is the first step in changing that behaviour, changing that impulse buying when you're feeling down or when you're feeling bored or whatever it is. Did you know that a quarter of people that get in touch with CAP, which is Christians Against Poverty, which is a debt charity, get into debt because they're on low income? That means 3/4 of people don't get into debt because of a low income. 3/4 of people get into debt because of choices that they've made despite having a decent enough income. Knowing yourself is important. For me, making it a game. How quickly can you pay off the next £1,000? How much can you pay off the next month? Can you pay off more each month than you did the month before? Ideas of games on how to make it a fun thing. Have little checkboards to cross off every £100 of debt that you've gotten rid of. Little tally marks, little thermometer that's building up to reach the point where you're debt free, like you see on the old Vicar of Dibley church roof funds, you know, the thermometer going up. Make it a game, make it fun. The most important thing you can do today is decide you're going to get out of debt. Make it a priority. Say to yourself, I am getting out of debt. Now let's look at 3 things that might help. If you've got a lot of credit card debt, one way you could get out of debt quicker and pay less interest is if you transfer your balance onto a 0% credit card. Now what that means is instead of paying 19.9% or 29.9% or whatever it is your APR is on your credit card at the moment, you could actually be paying 0% on any balance that's on there, which means that more money is going off to pay the balance and not paying the interest. Now there's a link to a couple of places where you can look for 0% credit cards. If you can, try and get one with a 0% balance fee as well, because that means that you don't pay any money when you transfer from all your credit cards to the one credit card. They are hard to find, but they do exist. I don't get paid for the links, I don't get sponsored. I just want to give you some options if you're not sure where to start looking. Another way you could try and reduce the amount of interest that you're paying so you can pay off more on your capital and less on interest is a debt consolidation loan. Now, a friend of mine, this is one way that he actually got out of debt. He went to his bank and he said, I've got all this debt, can you just give me a one loan? So the bank gave him one loan and he paid off all his other debts, and it meant that all his payments would just go into one place. So he had less to think about, and the interest on the payments ended up being a lot lower. So if you've got a lot of debt in various places, car loans, etc, 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 then that could be an option to you. Again, some links down below. I don't get anything from them, but if it helps you, then that is fantastic. The way a debt consolidation loan works is maybe you owe £1,000 to this person paying 10% interest, you owe £6,000 to the next person paying 16% interest, and you owe £10,000 to this person paying 30% interest. And what you do is you borrow £17,000, you pay off all your debts, and then you've just got one payment of hopefully a much lower interest amount. It takes less brain power to think I have to pay this and I have to pay this and I owe this person money and I owe this person money. It's all just in one place. There are disadvantages, of course, and usually that they are linked to something that you own. They're linked to an asset, so if you don't pay, then you may get your asset taken away. And like a credit card bill, where if you don't pay, they're not going to take anything away from you. The third way that you can consider getting out of debt is by a charity called CAP, Christians Against Poverty. They are a charity who are passionate about helping people get out of debt. A few years ago, I read a book called Nevertheless by John Kirkby, who was the guy that started CAP. And the book tells this story of this man struggling with debt and the struggles that he goes through, the things he has to give up, the relationships that he loses, and yet he is convinced that he should be getting out of debt, and he convinced that he wants to help other people get out of debt. And the story is about how he set up this charity that would help thousands and thousands of people get out of debt. And it's such a brilliant book, so well written. I just was captivated by this book, and I thought that is a charity that I want to support. That is somewhere good where I can put my money to good use to help other people. And I'll put a link to their website down below. If you are really stuck, really struggling with debt, check them out. There are other charities available that do a similar sort of thing, but these guys are fantastic. This isn't about me. This is about you. This is about your journey towards freedom from debt. This is a journey that you are on towards deciding how you want to distribute your money, how you want to be generous. Debt is such a generosity killer. And as soon as you're out of debt, we get to start living a life which is free from financial pain of debt, of being a slave to someone else, and start living a life of generosity where we can start impacting the world and those people around us. So if you've had any help at all from today's video, then please do smash the like button. Do let me know in the comments if you are on your way to debt freedom, if you've gotten out of debt. I'd love to shout your praises. Till next time, peace out.